Hello, Helen here. Welcome to another card in my Christmas 2020 series. At the end of last year I bought this snow globe die set that's My Favourite Things Die-namics set, and I'm also going to use another set here that I've had from previous years, the Winter Wonderland Sizzix die set. I'm going to start off with my usual card base, which is 5 by 7 inches, and I've got a card panel that's just slightly smaller than that, about 5mm all the way around. I'm going to cut the globe shape out of that card panel, and then on a scrap piece of card I'm going to cut out the 2 snowbank pieces and the 2 smaller deers out of the Sizzix set. I'm also going to be using the cut out snow die piece out of that set too, so I'll leave that out as well. So I'll go ahead and cut the globe and the other pieces on the other piece of card out with my Big Shot machine, and then that'll be ready for when I come to put the card together. The next thing to do is with Strathmore Bristol smooth watercolour paper. It's by far the best paper I've found for ink blending, and I'm just going to do some ink blending with some darker blues to make a sort of night sky to go in the back of my snow globe. So I'm just going to start off by using one of the lighter colours and then blend the blueprint sketch distress ink around that and make sure that I overlap both, and I'm just building up the colour little bit by little bit with just quite a light hand. Never do it with a really heavy hand, otherwise you'll get sponge marks. So if you just keep it light, you can rub any marks that you might make out, and you just keep blending. Now at this point I wasn't happy with how the blending was looking, so I get out the chipped sapphire and I'm going to use that around the very outside, so it's going from light out to darker, just like a sky would be, and I'm much happy with that. I just carry on building layer upon layer until I'm happy with the end result. I did leave the blending piece aside just to let it dry out a little bit, and then I went ahead and cut out the snow die out of the Sizzix set, which just puts little dots to make it look like snow. So I cut that out of that, and that's my background ready for the snow globe. The next thing I wanted was the base of the snow globe to look like wood grain, so I've got a Sizzix 3D texture plate, which is an embossing folder with lots of texture, called lumber, and I'm going to ink one side of that up with some black ink. I just used my VersaFine ink and sprayed the paper. I'm just using some kraft paper here. Just spritz it a little bit with water, just helps to loosen the fibres of the paper and allows the impression of the texture plate to show a little bit more. So I did that on the back of the paper, put it face down, and then ran that through my big shot, and that just gives me texture wood grain that I'll be able to cut the base of my snow globe out on. I did have to use the tab 1 of the base plate for the big shot machine, to which was the right sandwich for these embossing folders, as they're very thick. So do investigate what might be best for your machine, as they will differ slightly. I decided for this card I was going to use my Go Press foil machine to do the sentiment. I haven't used the machine very much since I bought it, so I thought I'd have a go. You really definitely don't need to do this if you haven't got anything like this. Just stamping a sentiment would be perfectly fine for a card like this, but I decided to have a go with the Go Press and just have a bit more experience with it. So I've got it turned on and I'm waiting for the light to heat up, and I'm starting to heat the stamp that I've got here that just says Merry Christmas. So I'll wait till that's heated up and the lights turn green. While I'm waiting, I'll just cut the little piece of foil that I'm going to use with some gold foil, just big enough to go over the die, and then that'll be ready for when the machine's heated up. Now once the Go Foil machine has heated up and the light is a solid green, I can go ahead and put the stamp and the foil colour side up onto my card where I want the sentiment to be, and then I'm going to use a shim, and I've worked out that I need a folded piece of paper extra to get enough pressure to do the foiling on this machine. So I'll pass that the cartridge part through my big shot machine using no other plates whatsoever. Goes through very easily, and then I can have a look at the foiling, just bearing in mind that it is all very hot, so you've got to be quite careful. I've pretty much got all my components ready now. I've just got to cut out the wood grain for the snow globe base, and then I can start putting the card together. The next thing I did was to cut a piece of kraft foam down so that it fitted in behind my card panel, and then I'll draw around the globe shape and cut that piece out with a craft knife. Before I actually stick it to the card though, I want to get the snowbank pieces put into place, and I wanted them to be at two different levels. So one of them I'm sticking on the back of the foam tape, the craft foam, and the other one I'm sticking in behind the front panels, just so that it looks like there's a little bit of depth there. I'm so sorry, that wasn't very good filming. You've missed completely what I did with the snowbanks, but I think I explained it okay. Once I've got the snowbanks done, I can stick the card panel down onto my die cut snowy background, just positioning it how I want it, and then I can trim off the excess that sticks above the card panel when I'm ready. I could see when I went to stick the card panel down onto the card base that you couldn't really see white through the stars at the back because there was a little bit of gap between. So what I've done to fix that is to glue a piece of white card onto the back, directly onto the back of the die cut sky piece. What I had intended to do and forgot about it was I was going to put some glittery white paper behind so that you could get a little bit of a sparkle of the snow through the holes, but I forgot I was going to do that, so I've just ended up sticking white card on the back and it looks fine. So either option would be perfectly fine. The last thing to do to finish the card is to stick the wood grain base of the snow globe down just onto the bottom edge of the cut out snow globe, and then I can stick the deer on the scene as well. Now I did put some adhesive foam tape onto the backs of the deer apart from the feet, and then just some little dabs of glue on the bottom of their feet and stuck them onto the snow banks on each side, and that's the card finished. Now I did do another version of this card using the snowman that came with the snow globe die set instead of the deer, and did it more or less the same, but I made it into a shaker card, so that's another option you can do with this type of card as well. I think it looks quite sweet as well. So that's these cards finished. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with another Christmas card very soon. Bye for now.